Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and I have a fun St. Patrick's Day shaker card to share with you today. Hey, so I'm using Jaded Blossom's Gnome Dies St. Patrick's Day add-ons. They're gnome dies, they're birthday word add-ons, they're rectangle dies, and they're St. Patrick's Day word dies. And I put this guy together on that St. Patrick's Day add-ons assembly video long ago, so check that out if you want to see me put it together. I'm using Doodlebug's Lots of Luck 6-inch pad, the 6-inch pot of gold, and I'm also using the Lots of Luck odds and ends package. So I took some of that paper from those pads, and I'm using the border designs, and I'm going to trim out some of those borders. They always have some borders on the Doodlebug, in the Doodlebug patterns. So I'm just going to trim some of these out, and I'll use them on the inside of my card as a decoration. So I have a piece of New Leaf cardstock from Paper Tray Ink, cut at 4.25 by 11, scored at 5.5 inches, with my Martha Stewart scoreboard and my Teflon bone folder here. I'm working on my Stampin' Up! Pad. All my die cutting was done with my Spellbinders mini impress machine from Anna Griffin. So next I'm going to be adding on a cheapo piece of white paper to the inside, cut at 4 by 5.25 inches. With my ATG tape. There we go. And then I'm going to add on the strip of borders, just lining it up with the bottom of that white cardstock. There we go. And I will trim off the overhang with a pair of scissors. So this is a really simple card design. There we go. Then next I am pulling out some ephemera. That is from that odds and ends set from lots of Doodlebug's Lots of Luck. And I'm going to glue that down on the inside. So this says, what does that say again? Sorry. I wish you good luck. Just a fun play on words, and a little shamrock. There we go. Now I'm going to reinforce that fold on the outside. Now I have a piece of paper from that pad again, and I'm going to add it to my card base with some ATG tape, and that is cut at 1/8 of an inch smaller than an A2 size card front. And I'm just going to add that to the front with my ATG tape again. There we go. And next I have a piece of paper. I took one of my smaller rectangles and I cut out the pattern paper, but then I cut it out again, or I cut a piece of paper roughly the same size in white, just to layer it up to make it a little thicker, because this is going to be my shaker element. And, you know, I wanted it to be a little more sturdy. So I'm using some packaging. This is just leftover packaging from, you know, paper or whatever. And I'm trimming it to fit my little shaker element, and I'm using score tape, and I'm going to run that around the inside of that white square. So on the back side of my rectangle. There we go. And I'll use my Teflon bone folder just to make sure it's stuck down well. And then I will go ahead and pull off 3 sides. I'm going to leave one side covered, the side that I'm going to add my shaker bits to. So I'm just pulling off 3 sides. Now this isn't my idea, you know. I think I saw Amy Rice-Abbey do this first on Prairie Paper and Ink, and I think she saw it from someone else, but you know, it's a great little technique. So I'm adding my acetate, just making sure it's as tight as I can get it, and I'm going to trim off the extra with a pair of scissors. So I'm just sort of making sure it's tight. So this is going to be a flat shaker card. So I didn't have to build up a well or anything. There we go. I'm going to trim off the corners where they meet, just so it's not bulky. I'm just going to trim off the extra. I could have made it, you know, made the acetate closer to the size of the rectangle, but, you know, I just chomped off a piece to use. I keep my acetate packaging because you could use it for this. Now I have a mix of sequins. I have no idea where they're from. I think some of them are Doodlebug, maybe some are Queen & Co., and some retired stuff from other places. These are Moonshine sequins from Cartwright's 8mm. I'm adding those as well. And then I'm going to stick down my last piece, peeling off the release tape. There we go. And then I will trim the corners again with my scissors just to make sure everything's nice and flat. And whoops, of course that acetate sticks to you. But the nice thing is that your shaker element really moves around well in there. And it's nice and flat, so it's not so dimensional. Now I'm going to add that to the center of my card base with some A2G tape. I'm just making sure the back is covered well. And then I will line that up with the center of my card. Actually stand up to do it, just so I can have a bird's eye view. There we go. And then I'll add that to my card front. Okay, so now we have that in place. I'm just making sure it's stuck down well. And using an adhesive eraser just for a little bit of ATG tape that went over the edge. Next, I have these little words. Now, these are the St. Patrick's Day word dies, but the happy is actually from the basic word dies. And I cut that from American Crafts green cardstock. And I'm just going to glue that to some vellum with some Bearly Art glue. So I cut the shadow layer out of vellum, and then I'm adding on the main layer with some Bearly Art glue. I do weight it down. So you'll see I did the other words exactly the same. Now I'm going to pop up my little guy with some dimensionals. That was cut from American Crafts, black cardstock and rust cardstock. And then I used some patterned paper from the Doodlebug pads that I mentioned. And his little good luck horseshoe there is cut from Recollections gold mirror cardstock. And then his skin tones were all cut from P13 stamping pad skin tones, which remember you can get from the Jada Blossom store. So I'm just going to add that to the front. You'll notice I did add some Secure White Jelly Roll pen for some highlights on that little guy. There we go. So now I did use thin slivers of some foam tape, and that was from Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. I just sort of cut the edges and used that. And I'm going to do the same thing to all of them, just to pop them up a little bit. I'm going to have them all at kind of an angle, making sure they can all fit on the card. I find that this card is busy enough, you know, with the shaker bits and everything and the shine of the acetate, so I didn't want to go over the top. So I'm just sort of adding on my sentiment. So it says, Happy St. Patrick's Day. Gotta add my last little piece on. Adding the little thin pieces of foam tape behind the letters. And there we go. So kind of cute, right? So thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to hop on over to the Jada Blossom blog, Be Inspired by the Team, the Jada Blossom store to get your hands on these amazing products. And thank you as always for watching my videos. I really appreciate it. Make sure you come back and watch another soon. Bye, everybody.